Welcome back to the Flying Scotsman FM, and we're back today with another experiment. This time we have moved over to the A League in Australia, and we have decided to give every single club in the A League a star player 35 years of age or older. See if they can themselves boost the reputation of the league and just generally see who does better over a 2 year period. So, Western Sydney Wanderers have Olivier Giroud at the club. Melbourne City have signed Cristiano Ronaldo. Melbourne Victory have Thiago Silva. Sydney FC have signed David Silva. Perth Glory have Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Pepe has went to Western United. Lionel Messi has went to Adelaide United. Luka Modric has went to Brisbane Roar. Macarthur FC have signed Sergio Ramos. Central Coast Mourners now have Manuel Neuer in goals. Wellington Phoenix, based in New Zealand, have Leonardo Bonucci. And the Newcastle Jets have Gerard Piqué. What we'll do is we will look at the table, and much like the MLS experiment we ran, the season has a playoff format at the end. So at the end of the league phase, you have the winner of the league phase, and then you have the playoffs as well, and then you'll have a winner of the league and a winner of the playoffs. Just the exact same as the MLS in America. So what we'll do is we'll now fast forward one season and see who comes out on top, see if any of the clubs already in the Asian Champions League can get far, see if any of them can win it, and we'll be back in 1 year just to see how that gets on. Here we are, one season into the future, and it looks like the two Melbourne clubs have finished first and second, with City finishing above Victory. So as you can see here, the top six teams have qualified for the playoffs are the two Melbourne clubs, Wellington Phoenix, Sydney FC, Perth Glory, and Macarthur FC. So Melbourne City have won the regular season title. We will now take a look at the knockout rounds. So we've got Wellington Phoenix putting out Macarthur FC, Sydney FC beating Perth Glory, and then the semi-finals, Wellington Phoenix have put out Melbourne City, and Melbourne Victory have put out Sydney. And we go to the final here, and Wellington Phoenix, the team from New Zealand, have beaten Melbourne Victory in the Australian final series. Looks like a good game here. Who was it got? Thiago Silva playing for Melbourne Victory. Unfortunately, looks like he's playing with a bit of an injury, picked up a bit of a knock during the game. And on the winning side at Wellington Phoenix, we have Leonardo Bonucci. So I had maybe expected to see two of the strikers or two of the midfielders in the final because they would have had a bit more influence on their teams. However, looks like the two centre backs have managed to make it to the grand final, and Wellington Phoenix have won that. So we'll now look at the Westfield FFA Cup, and Melbourne Victory have won a trophy. They have beaten Brisbane Roar in the final. Again, Luka Modric is looking like he's picked up a bit of a knock. So that's two players in two finals having a knock. Maybe the Australian League's not as easy on them as they had thought it would be. And Thiago Silva with Melbourne Victory again, this time with an 8.1 rating and lifting the FFA Cup. So that's the two domestic trophies, or three if you include the regular season, and the final series. We will now take a look at the Asian Cup and just see how those teams have performed. Now, I'll need to try and find what it is called. Asian Champions League, that's fine. Can we actually find the actual Champions League Confederations Cup? I'll just click on the Champions League most valuable player and then go to the overview here. So it looks like we have not seen an Australian winner here. So that's the final. We've got the group stages. Let's take a look at all groups. So I think this is split into kind of east and west. So down here we will have Melbourne City finishing third in Group G with 8 points. Sydney FC qualified from their group, finishing on 12, and Melbourne Victory finishing on 7 points. Again, on the other side, finishing in third place. Even if they'd finished second, they would not have went through, as only one team seems to have went through from that group. So now, I think it's that we'll go to the east. Yeah, so there's the preliminary rounds, and then you've got the second rounds here. They're not well spread out. So Sydney FC have beaten Daegu FC. Again, sorry if I pronounce anything wrong, on this. And so Sydney FC have went through the quarterfinals. They have then beat by Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors from Korea, and then Jeonbuk went about Urawa Red Diamonds, and then that's where we saw Al Hilal from Saudi Arabia winning the trophy. So unfortunately this year, no winner of the Asian Champions League from Australia. The last thing we'll do is we will take a quick look at the awards in the A-League, see if anybody's won anything. So goalkeeper of the year, Manuel Neuer, 11 clean sheets and 24 games, conceding 24. Golden Boot, top three of Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Olivier Giroud and Cristiano Ronaldo. Player of the year went to Zlatan, thanks to his 14 goals and 3 assists. Team of the season, we can see Bonucci and Thiago Silva both in the back line, David Silva in the midfield with Cristiano Ronaldo and Zlatan Ibrahimovic up front. As well as this, we can see Sergio Ramos on the bench. So we will now fast forward one final season and see who can win the trophies in Australia and see if this time anybody can win the Asian Champions League. We'll be back in a few seconds. So here we are at the end of the second season, and it looks like MacArthur FC have won the regular season league this time. Again, Melbourne City finishing in the top two. So we will now go and take a look and see who has went through to win it all. Central Coast Mariners have put out defending champions of the final series, Wellington Phoenix. Western United have then put out Brisbane Roar before, in the semi-finals, MacArthur FC have beaten the Central Coast Mariners, and Melbourne City have knocked out Western United, setting up a final in which MacArthur FC have lost out on penalties to Melbourne City. Just take a look and we can see who has played out. Sergio Ramos injured. That's another injury. That's what, 4 finals we've seen in 3 injuries. A foot injury injured in the 60th minute, so nothing major. And in the Melbourne City lineup, we can see Cristiano Ronaldo was actually subbed off. When was he subbed off? He was subbed off in the 45th minute. So obviously the Australian league's maybe a bit too tough for him. I'm not sure. I don't really follow Australian football. So if any of you watching are from Australia, please let me know down below if Ronaldo would cut it over in Australia. So that's the 2 seasons done, and we can see that Melbourne City and MacArthur FC won the regular season trophies, with Melbourne Victory runner-up in the first season, Melbourne City in the second season. So you can see there that Melbourne City, since the 2019-20 season, predating this experiment, finished second 3 years in a row. They were first and then they were second again this year. And Wellington Phoenix third both times. And then again, just take a look at the final series. Wellington Phoenix winning it last year, Melbourne City winning it this year. So again, we will just take a look at the FFA Cup. As you can see, MacArthur FC have beaten Melbourne Victory this year. So MacArthur FC with 2 trophies this season, a very good season for them. Sergio Ramos, again, getting subbed off with an injury. I mean, this is every game we're seeing these players play. And Thiago Silva playing for Melbourne Victory on the losing side. Now again, we will just take a look at the Asian Champions League, see if anybody has went on to win. Take a look here. So it looks like we might have went a bit too far. What season is this? That's the 3rd season started. Okay, they must run a slightly different schedule to us. And Al Hilal, who won it last year, came runners up, losing it to Jeonbuk Hyundai. Semi-final, any of us in there? No. Quarterfinals? No. Second round, can we see any Australian teams? No, this is not looking great at all. Group stages, let's have a look. Have a look and see how we fared in the groups. So again, we'll scroll down to our side of the draw. Nobody. And unless my eyes are deceiving me, we have no clubs in the group stages. Were we just not allowed in it this year, or have we been able to? So The first preliminary round, Melbourne City beat the LC Sailors from Singapore. The second preliminary round, Melbourne City lost out to Buranam United from Thailand. And then in the playoff, we have nobody. So did we only have one team qualify this year for the Asian Champions League? That's the way it looks, but I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure how football over in Asia is played out. So again, we will just take a look at the award winners for this year. Goalkeeper of the year this time, Manuel Neuer again, 7 clean sheets in 29 games. We will now see the Golden Boot winner, Rossi, not somebody in the experiment, but Leo Messi, finishing second with 12 goals, and Zlatan finishing with 11 goals. Player of the year this time was Kevin Gamiero, a player who could have fit this experiment to a T. However, he was not one that we moved in, so I cannot take credit for that one. This year's team of the season, we see Sergio Ramos, Cristiano Ronaldo, just Ramos and Cristiano Ronaldo this year, Manuel Neuer and Lionel Messi on the bench. So it looks like this year has been the year that the older players have fared worse. So we'll look at the all seasons. By that I mean the last 2 seasons, and we have Bonucci and Ramos in the all seasons team, along with Ronaldo and Zlatan Ibrahimovic. So there we have it, and it looks like the Australian A-League is still sitting in 9th place, which is where it began, 2 stars, just one level below a host of other leagues. I'm a bit surprised myself to see that Australia is only the 9th best league in Asia. I expected it to be below China, South Korea, and Japan, but I really thought it would have been a bit higher up than the Qatar League and especially the Toyota Thai League in Thailand. So there we have it. That's another experiment been and gone on the Flying Scotsman FM channel. If you've enjoyed it, please leave a like, please leave a comment down below. Either if you're Australian, let me know if you would like to see players like this signing for your teams, and if you're not, or even if you are, please let me know who you think would do better in Australia in real life, and would they all have as drastic a drop off as they seem to have done. And next time we will be doing an experiment, and we will be back doing another experiment in Europe. So please keep your eyes peeled. So please subscribe to the channel and turn notifications on so as not to miss that. Thank you, and I'll see you next week.